So I wrote it all down. I don't even know how to begin this actually, but I just figured that when I was younger, I really wished that I had a role model when it comes to mental health issues. Well, it's kind of difficult to start a video like this, but when I was around 12 years old, I got a dog. It was kind of the turning point for me actually, because it was kind of where it all started. I remember when we got her, I've always wanted a dog. But when we got her, I just wanted to send her right back. I begged for a couple of weeks. I hated her, I didn't want her. My life had changed so much, and I wasn't really prepared for that. But it's supposed to be a good thing, a great change in life. And it wasn't for me. I joined a group of children around my age. I think we were 5 kids. We met I think once a week, where we had a coach and we discussed everything. And I was 12 at this point, so remember I was really young and I didn't really know that much about anything and why I felt what I felt, and it was a whole new thing. It was kind of not something we had heard about that much before. We had a lot of assignments, we had some books we had to read, we had a lot of tasks we had to do. For example, one day I got into the meeting and then I spoke with my coach and she was like, "So Rebecca, what is something you're afraid of doing?" Because we always had to try things we were afraid of doing. So I was afraid of failure a lot. My early years, they were filled with a lot of fear of failure, especially in school. I always wanted to do the best I could, and it was kind of a pressure. I said to her that I was afraid of spelling word wrong on the board without telling the other kids that it was on purpose that I spelled it wrong. I wasn't allowed to tell the other kids, and I hated that. Our parents were always there too, and it was kind of school but in a different way, and it really helped me. I think I went there for like a year. Afterwards, there's been a lot of focus on children with anxiety and depressions and everything, but back then there wasn't really anything about it. We didn't really hear about it. I just always were so afraid of ordinary things that could happen. If someone would get a disease, or if someone would die, if someone would get in an accident, that was something that filled my head my entire childhood actually. Yeah, then I graduated school. I was around 16 years old, and then I started high school. First year was a good year. I got a lot of new friends, and it was actually a very great experience because I didn't really deal with anxiety that much at that point. And then I got a boyfriend. It was kind of a good thing, but it was also a bad thing. I got a lot more uncertain of myself because I always felt this feeling of not being enough for anyone. And especially when I was in a relationship, my second year of high school were the worst year ever. At the beginning of my second year, my parents got divorced, and it was a very difficult divorce. At first, it was kind of this thing where it all went through their kids, me and my sister. I just wasn't in a place where I could deal with that. I was very unstable myself. I was the only child living home. So it was really hard to be alone with my mom. Yeah, there wasn't really anyone to be there for us because we couldn't really be there for each other because we both were in this horrible state of mind. And then out of a sudden, my cousin, he gets in an accident and he passed away, which also just ruined my life completely. Right after my parents' divorce, so it was like I couldn't even get over the first thing because then another thing came up and just took all time and energy. And then a few months after that, my boyfriend breaks up with me, and feels like the end of the world. Everyone who's been in a relationship knows that the idea of not being with that person, it can destroy you completely. Relationships are so intense because it's either deep love or deep misery. There's not really anything in between. Then school starts to get kind of hard because second year of school in high school is always the most difficult one with more classes and just super stressful. I begin not going to school. I start staying home. But it's not because I don't want to, it's because I'm so afraid of everything. Seeing people, talking to people. What if I might faint? What if I might throw up in class? What if I might start crying? My mind was like preparing myself for something bad to happen, even though I didn't know what was going to happen. So my school contacts me and my mom and says that I haven't been attending classes enough. So I am actually close to being kicked out of school. Remember, I had this meeting with the principal, and I get told that if I don't start coming to classes, I can't finish my education. Remember that I just said, I can't finish my education then. I don't have a choice, I can't. My mom was so miserable because she said, I know you can do it. You're the coolest girl I know, and you're the smartest kid I know. And she was really a great big support at that time. I just looked at her and I was like, I can only do this if you help me, because I was so sick. Couldn't even go into the principal's office. I had to get dragged in there, literally. My class went on 2 school trips without me because I couldn't go. I just wasn't in the right headspace at all. And that was also difficult, but because then I had to explain to them why I wasn't going, but I didn't want to explain the real reason why. So I just said that my parents got divorced and it had been really tough on me, and people were like, yeah, I get it. They were so supportive and so sweet and kind, so it wasn't really a problem, but I just missed out on a lot of things. In 2018, I remember me and my dad and my sister, we went on a trip to our vacation house, and then we came back, and I remember we had the best trip ever. But then I remember when we came back, I could just see on my mother's face that something was wrong. And she said that the doctors had looked at her. They were suspecting cancer. We were all so scared because they actually said it, and then a week went by where they had to run the tests to get their results. So we were actually in the unknown for a whole week. Me and my sister, we moved into my dad's apartment. My mom was so afraid of getting sick that she had to be with someone who could take care of her because I couldn't. And we get a phone call from my mom where she says that it's not cancer, that she isn't sick at all. I remember that was the best day of my life when she called and she said those words, I am not sick. It was just the best day ever. So then I had to take my exam. I had to do math and chemistry. It went so bad. I almost failed both classes, but luckily not. And then I started my 3rd year of high school, which it had a really rough start. Then I went into like a personal crisis. I cut off all my hair. I just went up to here and I hated it. Then I cut bangs and I hated it. It was such a bad cocktail because I was already so insecure, and then I just cut off my hair and then I got more insecure, and yeah. And then around Christmas it gets so bad that I start treatment at going to a psychiatrist, combined with me getting medication. It's a very good cocktail for me personally, because I just couldn't do one thing because then I needed the other thing, so they really backed each other up really well. So yeah, I get signed into that kind of department, have a lot of tests taken, what they can do to help me and what kind of treatment I need, because I had already been a part of so many treatment programs. I stopped going there because it was also kind of expensive, there's also that aspect of it, the money, and especially when it was a private psychologist. Start on some of my medication, and I'm still on them today, and it's been over a year now, and it's one of the best things I've done. But that's a totally personal thing, because it's something that's good for me can be really bad for someone else, and vice versa. It's not something that you just do. It's something that takes a lot of time getting to that point where you just have to get help in some other way. I remember the first week where I started medication, I was told that there would be a lot of side effects. In the first 2 weeks, you could expect being dizzy, throwing up, losing a lot of weight, gaining a lot of weight. And I kind of got the worst cocktail of all. I think it was everything you could get. I got that. I remember laying in my bed for 10 days straight, where for the entire day I was just laying and I couldn't feel my body because everything was numb. I remember that every time I took the pill, I just had a few minutes, perhaps like 30 minutes, where I couldn't feel anything, where I was super relaxed, and then the rest of the entire day were just awful. I got so sick, couldn't even watch television, couldn't do anything. I was awake in the entire night for 10 days. But some other people I've spoken to that also are on this medication, they didn't get any side effects at all. So it really is, it depends on who you are, and I just got very unlucky. Then everything starts to go a lot better. Get the ability to do a lot of different things, going to school again every day, and I start hanging out with friends again, and I start going to parties again, and I start just having a life again. I'm not afraid of taking a trip with my friend. I'm not afraid of driving the bus. I'm not afraid of going to school. I'm not afraid of anything. And I could finally just do whatever I wanted to, because there was nothing holding me back. I wasn't afraid of fainting. I wasn't afraid of throwing up or getting sick. Now I'm at a much better place. I moved out. I live in London. It's kind of crazy. It was kind of just something I wanted to share with you, because when I was younger, I didn't have any person to look up to when it came to mental health. Not that many people spoke about it. Around 2012-13, where everything started happening, where a lot of cases, where a lot of children got diagnosed with anxiety and depression. Now I'm finally in a better place, and I just wanted to set an example and say that you shouldn't be embarrassed about your mental health issues, because a lot of people are dealing with the same thing that you are, but you just don't really know, because it's not really the first thing that someone says when you meet them. I didn't choose that I should be like this, you know? I didn't choose to be afraid of so many things. I didn't choose that, but I have dealt with it, and I have grown from it, and now I'm a whole other place. And it's just an example that you just should really, really, really not be embarrassed about it, but talk about it. This was kind of my story. Everything is gonna be okay in the end, and that if you want to, I know, everyone can always talk to me. You sometimes just feel like you don't want to get in the way, and you don't want to be a problem, so you just keep it to yourself, and that can really be harmful. So don't do that. Always speak up. And everything's gonna be alright. And I just wanted to share my story with you.